Hello, this is Robert Perkins, the immigration professor, and this is my video on battered spouses of United States citizens. In other words, on getting a green card if you were married to a United States citizen that has subjected you to battery or extreme cruelty. And the battery need not be physical. We'll talk about that a little bit more. You can see all my informational videos on my website, which is www.immigration-professor.com. Or if you have a specific question about your case, please call our offices at 310-384-0200. We have regional offices in the Midwest, in Illinois, as well as California. However, we serve clients all over the country. We go to immigration court in different places, as well as file petitions and represent people before the Immigration Service. So today is my video on battered spouses. We're going to talk about two different scenarios. We're going to talk about one scenario where someone has already gotten their green card based on marriage to a U.S. citizen, so they already have gotten it. And then we're going to talk about another scenario where a person, the husband or wife, the USC, has not petitioned. And basically what this is all about is that our Congress and our government felt that it was very unfair for an immigrant to stay in a bad marriage, especially a marriage where they were being abused, solely because they knew that they had to stay in the marriage to get their green card or immigration papers. They wanted to create a device, our government, for that person to be able to get out of the marriage. Of course, one thing that's really important in either one of these cases is that the immigrant has to show that the original marriage was a valid marriage, that it wasn't just for papers, it was entered into in good faith or with the best of intentions. So that is a critical element in all of these cases. So let's talk a little bit about the situation where the person may already have a green card. They may already have something called a conditional green card, which I talked a little bit about in my video on immigration through marriage. What happens is when somebody gets married to a citizen, they get a green card based on the marriage. Their green card is valid for only 2 years. It's what we call conditional. And 90 days before the 2-year anniversary, they have to file a petition called an I-751 to make it a permanent green card. So what happens if the person within those 2 years, they have their 2-year green card, is a battered spouse? Well, what happens is that that person can file an I-751 to make their green card permanent without their spouse signing. They can get a waiver or a pardon or excuse of their spouses signing on to this if they can show that they were subject to battery or extreme cruelty. And how do they show that? People ask me all the time, well, what do I need to do to prove that I was subjected to this? I've been in this terrible marriage. Do I have to stay married? Can I get divorced? The answer is yes, you can get divorced. You can file for and obtain a divorce, and should if you're in a bad relationship. And what you need to do is to submit, if you've ever complained to the police, any kind of police reports are helpful evidence. Your own statement or affidavit is good evidence. Any hospital records are also good evidence. Also, a lot of times we use a report from a psychologist or social worker to show that indeed this person has been subjected to battery, which often means physical battery, or extreme cruelty. Extreme cruelty could be somebody that's trying to control you, somebody trying to put you down. somebody using the fact that you're illegal to keep you in this marriage or keep you under that person's control. So this is some of the evidence that we can submit. And again, when the person already has their conditional green card, this type of evidence would be submitted with the I-751, along again with evidence to show that the marriage was entered into in good faith. Once immigration decides the I-751 or approves it, the person would then get their permanent green card, and 3 years later, assuming that they are divorced from the abuser, they would then be eligible to apply to become a naturalized citizen. Again, you can see all of my informational videos on immigration topics on my website, www.immigration-professor.com, or if you have a specific question about your case, please call our offices at 310-384-0200. So this was a little bit about a situation where someone already has a green card based on marriage, and they have been battered or subjected to extreme cruelty by the spouse, and have decided to get a divorce, want to maintain their green card, and can. However, a lot of times what happens in some of the relationships is that the U.S. citizen or permanent resident husband or wife that is abusing the other person says, I'm going to file a green card for you maybe next year or maybe in a month or whenever it is, and they never do. So one of the things our Congress decided to do is to allow a battered spouse of a U.S. citizen or permanent resident to self-petition. And they could even self-petition after a divorce. Again, what they have to do is to show that the marriage was entered into in good faith. In other words, it was a real marriage. They really lived together. It was really not for papers. And that they were also subjected to battery or extreme cruelty. And again, I want to emphasize that the same type of evidence that we talked about before, social work reports, police reports, the person's statement, perhaps statements from other people that they talked to, friends, relatives that knew about the battery, all those things can be submitted to immigration. And when you self-petition, you file a form called an I-360, along with all the evidence that I've talked about. And immigration then decides it. It doesn't even matter if the person is here illegally or entered illegally. They can get approved and they can adjust their status to green card based on a self-petitioning battered spouse. Again, you can see all of our informational videos on immigration topics on our website, www.immigration-professor.com, or if you have specific information about your case, please contact our offices at 310-384-0200. And again, with the self-petitioning battered spouse, after 5 years of being a green card holder, they can then naturalize and become a United States citizen once their petition, their I-360, has been approved. Thank you very much for your time today. Bye-bye now.